Good morning to the Barbados beach house build. Hope you're all well. I don't normally check in on a Saturday, but that's what it is today. A glorious day after a week of on and off rain, which is actually gladly welcome. We've got plants obviously that are growing, so that's obviously definitely the right thing to do. I thought I'd just check in and give you an update before I start, if you don't mind giving me some love down below. Got an expression. Thumbs up, comments, that'd be greatly appreciated. I don't think I've seen any comments in the last couple of days, so I'll have a look. I think we're at 958 subscribers, which was awesome. Standing underneath our shades that are doing exactly what they're meant to do. You saw the video obviously uploaded with regards to trying to make these more taut, if that's the word. When the wind came through, these guys were literally smashing up and down, so they're a lot better now, and we've had quite a bit of rain, and the rain comes straight through, so my concern about them holding the water and sagging is no longer a concern, which is great. But like I said in the previous video, I do think that the rope definitely needs to be a wire rather than a rope. There's too much give in this, and anyone that buys a 5 metre by 5 metre sail and falls for the idea that you can get away with using little tiny 4-screwed hooks, you've got no chance. There is no way in the world you're going to pull these at the tautness that they need with having those stupid little hooks. Not going to happen in a million years. You saw the size of the actual bolts I used. I think I should have used twice the length. But M10s, the width I think is the right size, but I think I should have used potentially 5 to 6 inch bolts rather than the I'd say they're probably 3-inch ones I think I've used. So anyway, my advice to you is, if you're going to be doing it and they're this size and you really need to get that that pulled tight so it's nice and flat, you're not going to get away with using these little tiny stainless steel or normal zinc plated eyes that they're about 1 inch wide. They've got 4 screws. There's no way in the world you're going to be able to pull these at the level you need to pull them at using those little things. So that's my advice to you. One thing that has happened as well, when the water drips through that, it goes straight above onto the patio right where the drain is that we put in, which is quite handy. But anyway, enough of that. One thing that is happening, which I'll show you very quickly, by the way, get yourself a cup of tea. We have had Big Brother put in. So Big Brother has actually been installed, and the unit is now downstairs, which I'm going to show you in a second. The little one's still running the kitchen, and this big one's going to be doing the living room. Now the downside to us running this in, obviously it's a bigger unit, so we're having to change the air conditioning ducting downstairs, which is actually being done as we speak. And as you can see, it works out just right. It's just under the window, so there'll be another one be going there as well. So we're now upgrading 3 ton to 5 ton. So there'll be 10 tons running the front of the house, is what we should have done from day one. This one's running the bedroom, as you've seen before, which is working really well. Word of advice, if you want my personal advice, I spray WD-40 all over my units and just try and do that as regular as possible, just to keep them defensive against the actual salt and the air. As you can see, the fins on this one here are already going an orangey rusty colour compared to the silver they're normally meant to be. So that one's been pulled out. You got white on that one because Sherwin unfortunately used silicone grease rather than silicone. So it looks worse than it actually is, but that's actually got like a grease over that one. But I've been using like a silicone WD-40 on these ones, and it seems to be doing well. So what I want to do is I want to quickly take you downstairs and show you the new unit that's gone in. I've got a bit of a job on today, hence the reason why I'm in builder clothes for once. I'm going to have to get the disc grinder out, the big disc grinder. And what we've decided to do is, because the unit is now a lot bigger, it needs to feed and draw bigger. So let me show you where we are. So this is the old unit. So as you can see, that's 3 tons. Now this one, there's the old 3-ton unit on the floor. This one is just deeper, so you can see the size of the actual the ductwork that's now changed. So what we've got to do is, we've obviously got to change the size. So we're going to redo the returns. This side here is where the hot air from the room is drawn in, and at the moment we've got 2 feeds coming from that floor that are 14-inch square. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this flexi ductwork off. This box is going to be refixed to that, and then we're going to be taking one large box all the way along to here, L-shaped, straight to the wall. Now what I've got to do today, I've got to cut that concrete out. So this floor is about 8 inches thick with rebar. So I'm gonna have to go upstairs. I'm gonna have to disc grind here and upstairs as well. I'm gonna have to disc grind here, and I won't be able to do upstairs because that's in the wall. And then I'm gonna have to hilty this piece out. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do one big return here, because what they were talking about doing was making this a return rather than a feed, which means that this room is 40 foot by 20 foot. And we got one feed in the middle, one feed on the left and one feed on the right. We've got 3 feeds. Let me do 3 feeds. 3 feeds facing this way equally. So the room is being fed 33%, 33%, 33%. It's absolutely perfect. Then we've also got another feed here. This one shoots that way across the patio doors, so it keeps the glass cool as well. So that one's also quite essential. So, but what we've got to do is we've got to put another feed in. So we need 5 feeds, and ideally we need 3 to 4 returns. So to keep it simple, they were talking about changing this one to a return and changing this one over here, putting another feed here. But obviously that's in the corner near my desk and it just isn't right. So the second option is to run from this box 2 ducts underneath here all the way along and turn this one and this one into 2 returns and keep these 3 as they are, which means you've then got 4 returns and 3 feeds. Third option, which is the messy hard work option for me, is cutting this out and making this one big return. So that's one big return here, keeping the 4 feeds as they are. So that's the option at the moment. So I might still get them to physically run another feed to here. The downside is this is a cold feed under my desk. So apart from moving the desk, it's not really an ideal place to be putting a cold feed. But anyway, so we'll keep that one as it is, but we'll make the duct. So all of this ductwork, by the way, has been replaced as well. I told you about it last time. This was all meant to be rigid, flush stuff like over here. So, you know, that's what it's meant to look like. So it's meant to be flat and wide. So we're literally going to be replacing all the ductwork here. So this is going to become a flat and wide all the way down. That's going to become a flat and wide. These 2 here are going to become flat and wide. And this one's going to become one big box, flat and wide. So it'll be 10 inches wide by about, I don't know, it's probably going to be about 30 inches thick, I would have thought, going all the way that way and then turning straight to the wall. So I've now got to go upstairs, and this is where I seriously deserve a like downstairs. You need to give me thumbs up for this. I've got to go upstairs and I've got to cut that bloody thing. So, obviously, I'm going to use the bigger grinder. Obviously, I'm gonna get some water and make sure it's wet because the dust is gonna be an absolute bloody nightmare. I've got some big boxes here, so I'm thinking about potentially taking one of the boxes upstairs and just sticking it to the floor and cutting a hole in here so that when I'm cutting inside the box, the water and the dust is hitting the sides. Try and contain as much of the actual dust as I can. And if I had a wet and dry, which I don't, but if I did, I would cut a hole in one of these, stick the hoover in there, and also suck the actual any dust and moisture that's coming through there. Even for the bottom, sorry, just stick it through the bottom here, so any dust and water is going to come in here, it's going to take it out into the hoover down here, but I don't have the hoover. Wet cutting is definitely going to be the way forward, so that's what I'm going to be doing. And I'm going to take some of the sheets of cardboard that we've kept like this, get that along the wall, so I keep the actual dust and the wet and the noise and the rocks, etc. off. And then once I've cut it, I'm going to see whether my little SDS is man enough to sort of start breaking it up. And what I'm potentially going to do is leave the rebar that's in rebar. We haven't had that word for a while, have we? Jesus, rebar. I'm potentially going to leave the rebar in place, so I'm going to try and shatter the concrete around the rebar away, and then what we're going to have to do is OSFO the actual rebar to ensure that it's completely rust free, and then prime it with some cans of primer I've got here, and then I need to find a really good waterproof thick paint of some sort, because obviously the returns are going to be drawing air in the house through all the time. So the rebar is going to have air going over it all the time. So I just need to make sure that if it's going to be salt air or just humid air, that over time it's not going to land up rusting and dying. But it'll be easier to leave it in than cut it out, as you can appreciate. Cutting rebar is a nightmare too. It's there for a purpose. It's there to strengthen the floor. So I can still leave some of the strength there and allow the air to go through. So that's the plan at the moment. So I've just done a list of things. Here's our little SDS. Not too sure if she's going to be man enough for it. But anyway, I'll give it a go with that. If not, I'll have to go to Williams and hire one. I could potentially go there and hire one for the weekend. So it might be worth, I need to try and test that sooner rather than later. So I've got time to go down and adjust if I have to. So that's my plan so far for a Saturday bloody morning. So I was greeted with the guys coming here to do the ducting, and then I'm met with having to do work. Now I could leave it till Monday, but he's going to be doing the ducting at some point, so I'm like, we'll just get it done now. And then whilst he's here, he can potentially run that in and we can get the air conditioner up and running sooner rather than later. Because obviously all the time it's not working, we have no air conditioning one side of the house. This one, as you can hear, is still working, so the kitchen is still working. And this one does work at the moment, it's just at the moment it's got gaps everywhere, so a lot of the air is coming into the basement and cooling the basement rather than upstairs. So it doesn't really make sense at the moment to have it on unless we really have to. So that's my plan. So wish me luck. I'll give you some filming throughout to show you my the trials and tribulations as always. But yeah, hilty and grinding, here we come. Wish me luck. Okay, welcome back. So let me just quickly overview what we brought up and what my idea is. So I'm going to mask and tape a bit of cardboard onto the wall just to protect the wall for obvious reasons. The makeshift vents have been taken out for now, so I've got to remove these battens with construction screws. I've got to laser along this edge just to get that straight, because at the moment they're not straight anyway, so I might as well take the opportunity to straighten them up at the same time. This one is a little bit drunk. This one's not too bad, so I'll fire a laser on it and just maybe run a grinder across those and straighten them up at the same time. And then what I've got to do is score straight across here and start the tedious exercise of bashing that out. So impact drill, a couple of big batteries, SDS, the big grinder, a box for all the rubble, can of primer, he says. I've actually got a can of primer spray as well. And my idea is a box. A bit mad, I know, but I'm thinking a box like that, upside down, I'll tape it to the floor, I'll cut a hole out inside it and try and cut it inside the box just to try and eliminate any wet and dust flying everywhere. It's big enough, so it should work. If it means that it's just not working, then I'm gonna have to try another idea. But at the moment, obviously, we are living in the house and we'll try and eliminate any damage, any dust and any water. Spray bottle, obviously, I'm gonna have to physically get someone to spray for me whilst I'm cutting. It's only gonna be just the initial cut here, so it's not as if it's gonna be massively wet and dusty all the time. Obviously, the hilty is gonna be dusty, but again, if I can just spray it and just keep the dust down, that should work okay. So I'll start off by working in here. I'll get him to take these boxes out for me when he returns. I think he's just gone to get some materials. What else? Blue tape, I'm gonna need that in a minute. Duct tape for the floor, hammer, a couple of bolsters, a bolster itself, a couple of obviously spikes, a new set of DeWalt SDS pieces. I'm definitely gonna need those. Different forms of bolsters, obviously. Big hammer bolster, some knee pads, and this big bad boy, and obviously a broom and a level. I'm breaking into sweat already just getting it up here, so I'm actually in the air conditioner now, so hopefully it'll cool down. I'll start the cuts and I'll update you how I get on. Fingers crossed, won't turn it into a construction site. Just a bit of advice. So I've just got out the big grinder, let me show you. So, got the big grinder out, got the disc out. This bolt, which is for the shroud that protects your eyes and dust, etc., was actually input the wrong way. So it was in the thread. There's a thread in here and there's a hole here. So that was in there like that. So I'm looking around for a nut that goes in here to tighten up. But in fact, someone, probably show him, has put this in the wrong way. So that goes through the hole into the thread. So anyway, oh bloody hell. That's 20 minutes of my life I'll never get back. And also highlight, I don't have any nuts and bolts in the whole entire build, believe it or not. But anyway, I thought we'd give you a bit of advice. Second of all, your disc, obviously, once you've tightened that up, will go on. Sometimes it says one way, but this, as you can see, is not geared. It's all exactly the same. So sometimes the teeth are a different way, so it indicates which way it spins. These normally, if I remember rightly, cut up. So they cut around this way. And then you have this washer, which is double-sided. One's got a recess on it and one hasn't. This particular one will actually go with that bit, the recess, facing downwards. So again, you spin that on, and then they always come with one of these, and you've got 2 sets of spikes, one smaller, one thicker, and you use basically 2 of them on there. You press a button on the back. As you can see, that locks the actual disc in place, and then you tighten it up. So hopefully another thing you can learn on my tab. Welcome to my labourer. All you got to do is squirt water. That's all you've got to do. So this young lady is going to try and squirt water at the blade as I cut it to keep the dust down. We've done a little DIY bottle because the bottle we had didn't really work. It's got a hole in it, Amy's a hole in it, obviously. Yeah. And she's going to squirt at the blade as I'm cutting in the hope that we can try and keep the dust down and hopefully not the sludge everywhere. So let's see how we get on.
Okay.
A bit wonky.
It's a bit wonky. Okay, we are a go.
Let's have a go.
Oh, I'm so scared.
So what you got to do, we put a little bit of water here first. Tash, we're recording. Sorry about that. Right, let's go.
Water bottle.
Okay, right, so that was the first bit done. That was the main bit, and not a bad bit of dust actually. So now what we need to do, what?
So thanks to me.
Yeah. And now what we've got to do is this, as you can see here, there's probably around about ½ an inch, just over, of, it's just not straight. So what I've done is I've plumbed that with a laser. I've drawn with the permanent marker. Now we just need to tidy up the edge. The downside is I can't take that all the way through the concrete because obviously the disc itself is only around about 3 inches. So, but obviously from the top it will look fine, and then when we have the grill put in, the grill could be nice and straight. That's the hope. And obviously I'm trying to do it up against the wall, which is quite difficult. It restricts how I can hold the grinder. So I might try and put my foot over there and try and do it like that. I think that's probably the best bet. But anyway, okay. Wish us luck. Ready? When I say more, squirt more.
Yeah, okay, 3.
Okay, so squirt on the floor anyway, so I need some water on there anyway. All right, so we're done. Just wipe the water from my nose. All should I do is squirt a bottle.
I know.
Let me just show you what we've done. Okay, so we've done the first cut through here, which gives me a nice line. I've only gone down about 1 inch there. I might need to go a little bit deeper on that. But as you can see, the water and the sludge has actually been kept to a minimum. I had to pull the cardboard away from here because obviously mid-cut, I realised over here we have a big patio glass. And obviously the disc is spinning. I'm pretty sure it's cutting upwards anyway, not the other way, but I just wanted to make sure that nothing came backwards and hit the glass. Now, one thing you are meant to do, certainly if it was England, these that I've been sitting on the floor, not on my head, always a good idea to put on your face. And just the little tiny mushroom ear protectors as well, always handy to put in your ears. Big pack of them downstairs, sitting in the cupboard, not doing anything, and deafening your daughter. Would be a good idea if we actually did that.
That would be a good idea.
Super health and safety. So anyway, I'm going to quickly just go a bit deeper on that middle cut. And then what I've got to try and do, I've got to try and do the same thing here, but up against that wall. Now, obviously, I'm going to have to move this out of the way to do it. So I'm not too sure how I'm going to do it without creating lots of mess. I I need to obviously keep the box in here. This was a good idea to do. You see the spray that's going on up on there. I need to keep that in place, but I need this to be up and out of the way. So I'm gonna have a think about how to go about doing that. And the labourer, look. Oh, she's using her common sense. Love that.
No, look at me.
There you go. She could be a labourer. Thanks. Okay. A little bit of a clear up in the meantime. So we've managed to now take this on, rebox. We've managed to cut all the way along here quite nicely. I'm just drilling a few holes here to check the depth and also to break this slab up, so as and when we start hilting, hopefully it will start breaking into blocks rather than little bits. As you can see, it breaks the top off and goes. That edge has gone back nicely now, so we don't need to be all the way down with that width. We just need to make sure that the grill will fit nice and flush in there. I might grind this off whilst I'm at it. So we've got some high pitches here, which is going to be bloody messy, but I think we need to just shave that off whilst we're making mess. We may as well get that done at the same time. And I say what I do is, time's consuming, I know, but I might drill sort of 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, and 3 here, just so that when we're hilting, hopefully, we can start getting this breaking into blocks rather than it just coming off in top chunks. This isn't very powerful, and if I can try and get it done without having to go in a higher one, that'd be great. But it will need a bit of help, so drilling the holes will certainly help either way. Other than that, my lovely labourer is just having a quick mop around just to get some of the dust down. We did pretty well with the dust, so great idea. Bit of a stupid idea, but a great idea. You can see how much it saved, technically going right up that wall. I'm sure the wife would have gone absolutely spanner if I'd done that. Other than that, I'm going to keep on drilling these and I'll check in with you when I finish them.
Okay, everyone. So here is my dad.
Gorgeous.
So we've been doing a few more holes and we've drilled out a bit more here.
All the way through to the bottom. So we've now done the rebar. There's not a great deal of rebar in there because I'm not hitting it. I've been bloody lucky, however many times, 12 times.
Yeah, there's a lot more than 12.
There's not a lot of rebar, so that's a good thing. So what I'm going to try and do now, I'm going to try and cut an inch at least on here and here underneath. So we're weakening this. And then I do think we're going to have to get a bigger hilty because I don't think that little SDS is going to be man enough. We can try hitting it with blocks with sledgehammers and see if it makes any movement, and then we can try hitting it with the SDS. If it doesn't work, then
It's got a lot of mess down in the basement, but yep. Kelly's doing a little bit of mopping.
You put this down, this whole cardboard down, upside down, yeah, and cover the holes so you don't get any dust up there.
Okay, I'll update you guys in a... So now I've covered up this so that we don't get any more dust everywhere. And let's get to drilling.
Okay, happy Saturday mornings. God, what a chore. So, what we managed to establish, me and my my rabbit in the headlights, who's got white specks on her face, so she's also got splashed. Anyway, so let me spin you around and show you what I've done so far. So obviously I cut from underneath just a minute ago. We've managed to establish there's only one bit of rebar going in there. So what a shit job. That should have at least 4. These should have been some form of basket. So there should be rebar going all the way around, all cornered, and then they should be with maybe at least 2 quite thick bits of rebar going that way. They should be tied into every single one of the corners and then across. It's because this has got to be support. So, you know, I said about me being lucky, drilling all these holes, not hitting any rebar. We hit rebar once, that hole there, and so far, we managed to bust one. So for the intended purpose, i.e. this being one big open plan vent with rebar going through it, 1 is better than having 10. But the downside is that is meant to be support. So I'll have to go back on the videos and find out why I missed that, because I was on top of them like a hawk. So why I've missed that, I'm not too sure. But what I now want to do is I want to try and put a series of holes along the middle of the rebar so that I can actually hit it and hope that they crack over, because this is still damn solid, even though it's got no fibre in it. I don't think it's got fibre anyway, but it's bloody solid, that's for sure. The bolster is making an impact, but it's obviously shattering around the house, so we definitely have to hoover up and mop afterwards, otherwise my wife is going to go mental. So anyway, wish me luck. Say bye, apprentice.
Bye.
Okay. We are through. So, unfortunately, it just had to have a little bit of persuasion. So, here we are. So what we'll do is put Ospo on here, Nice bit of Osphale on there, get that anti-rusted. As it is, it looks bloody good. It's nice and dark black rather than orange, which is good. Which means all of that, if you watch probably video 70, 75, this floor was out in the open for quite some time, so I literally had the whole thing Osphoed. It took ages, it cost a lot of money, but it was well worth it. So it was just literally turning any of the orange in the steel completely black, so that when we poured the concrete, we had a limited chance of it blowing. My apprentice has got a bit of a job to do down there. Yeah, we'll do it together. But as you can see, I managed to get the big blocks out. So I managed to split the front piece out here with a series of holes. Managed to bust that through with a smaller, I don't even really call it, smaller one of these. I say smaller, it's massive obviously, but smaller headed. That managed to get the front broken away, and then I was managing to hammer all the way through the middle and then hit each side with a bolster, and it managed to break in half and fall down. So anyway, is my Saturday. The actual air conditioning engineer, he shot off and not continued doing the ducting, which is a bit of a pain in the arse. The reason why I did this, so that as soon as I finish this, he can carry on and finish the whole job off, but he's not even started. So I thought he was going off to buy about 20 sheets of rigid insulation, but it's now 12:20. They came here at 8 o'clock, so I'm not too sure it's going to take him 4.5 hours to go off and get some materials. So anyway, I've just texted saying, I'm done, where are you? Fingers crossed they'll come back. In the meantime, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe. I'm not too sure if I'll be coming back on the video. If I do, it'll be because they've come here and I can start filming some of the installation, but failing that, it's probably going to be a later stroke tomorrow thing, I would have thought. But if I do, I'll continue the video. If not, then I'll check out and I will see you guys soon.
Bye guys, like and subscribe.
Bye guys. See you soon. Thank you.